May your word be fulfilled. She trusts the message that whatever God says he's going to do, he's going to do. Now, parents and family taught us self-sufficiency and independence. And to a certain extent, that's really important. I mean, at 63, I really should be able to tie my own shoes. Feed myself. I was going to say pick out my own clothes, but I usually check before I, just to be... Some of us are gifted and some of us aren't. And when I don't check, I sometimes find out later that I probably could have done better. There are fashion police amongst us. I'm not talking about my wife either, just so you know. We learn to declare very early on, and from what I've seen, it's one of the last things we ever stop saying, and it is, I can do it myself. Even when it isn't true. We want to be independent. We want to be self-sufficient, and there is a point at which that's important. But there's also a point where we need to recognize I can't do it myself. In God's kingdom, in God's forever kingdom, the whole thing stands on our trust for him. I mean, you will not love the Lord with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength unless you trust him with your whole heart, mind, soul, and strength. Trusting the Lord undermines that sense of self-sufficiency and independence that says, I can do it myself. We need to surrender our self-sufficiency. In God's kingdom, we need to surrender our self-sufficiency and replace it with dependency on the Holy Spirit. So the sermon in a sentence for this morning, for everybody who likes to write those things down, is simply this: trust Jesus and surrender your self-sufficiency. How can you and I surrender our self-sufficiency? If we're supposed to trust Jesus and surrender our self-sufficiency, how can we do that? The first thing to do is to recognize your limits. There is a time to declare, I can't do it. I can't love. I'll let you fill in the blank. I can't forgive. I really can't even tolerate. You really don't want to know what I think of that person. Recognize your limits. You can be self-sufficient. I sure hope you're tying your shoes and getting dressed on your own and feeding yourself. But there comes a time when you have to recognize, I have reached the end of my limits. There's stuff I can't do. And Jesus still asks me to do it. So recognize your limits. That might be a time to ask a question like Mary, how can that work? How can that be? You know, she didn't say, how do I know you're telling me the truth? She didn't doubt his message. She's just going, I don't know. This doesn't seem to fit. There's a time to recognize their limits. There may be a time to say, how on earth, God, do you expect me to love them? Or forgive them? Or even put up with them? Recognize your limits. Second thing, receive healing for your hurts. Every one of us is bearing scars from trusting people who fell short. And okay, so let's also be honest. The one who failed us most often was us. You know, the person who's failed me the most has been me. And unless you're not human, I'm going to guess that the person who's failed you the most is you. We need healing for that. We need release from that anger, pain, grief. I mean, there's all kinds of things that go into that. We need to be healed from that. So we need to recognize our limits. We need to receive healing for our hurts. Your hurts, we need to rely on the process. You need to rely on the process. Trust and dependence take time. We like to get stuff fast. That's why we started out with microwaves that would take 5 minutes to cook something, and now have microwaves that'll vaporize it in a minute. Oops, that was in there too long. What's that smell? We even turned our crock pots into quick pots, right? We can't just let it cook for 24 hours. We got to have something that's going to get it done between breakfast and lunch and taste like it's been there for, so many hours. We need to take time. Trust and dependence, growing in depending on the Lord depends. It takes time. It's not just a matter of going, okay, I can't do this, and you're healing me. See, and that's part of the time. We'd like for the healing to be like, but then we get the directions like the blind man. Now, here's mud in your eye. Literally, Jesus did that. And then said, blind man with mud in your eye, go find a place to wash that off. Am I the only one that finds that a little bit humorous? I mean, this is a guy who couldn't have found his way to the pool to wash his face, and then you stick mud in his eye just to make sure and then you tell him to go do it. Talk about being asked to do the impossible. But guess what happened? He figured out a way to do it. He asked for help. I don't know. Sometimes our healing's like that. We want Jesus to go, you're done, you're healed, you're all fixed. And he goes, well, here's mud in your eye. But go find a place to wash it off. I can't see where I'm going. We'll help you. Mushrooms grow overnight. Sometimes in the most unexpected places. I remember in the second trailer that Connie and I lived in. Got up one morning, stumbled out of bed. You know the first thing you do when you get up in the morning, you head down the hallway to the restroom. I walk in the restroom and there's like 4 or 5 mushrooms growing in the bathroom. They weren't there the night before. They're there now. Well, I don't know how, but they're there. Full grown mushrooms. Don't ask me if they're edible, because I figure any mushroom that grows in a bathroom automatically inedible. Period. Mushrooms grow overnight. They aren't there one day, and the next day they're there, and the next day they're gone. Oak trees grow over decades, sometimes centuries. Be an oak tree, not a mushroom. We want the results of the mushroom, but we want to be an oak tree. You can't grow overnight and be an oak tree. The giant redwoods out in California, the sequoia, those are not trees that just sprouted up last year. Trust the Lord to lead you through the process. So, first, recognize your limits. Second, receive healing for your hurts. 3, rely on the process. 4, release your life into Jesus' care. Growing dependence on the Holy Spirit is going to lead you to a place of surrendering everything to Him. It's going to take you to a place where you finally say, I'm the Lord's. I'm yours. No ifs, no ands, no buts, no fine print. I'm yours. And when you ask the impossible, I'm just going to go, okay, let's do it. Recognize your limitations. Receive healing for your hurts. Rely on the process. Release your life into Jesus' care. Finally, recruit a few fellow Jesus followers to grow with you. As your trust in Jesus grows, so will your trust in a few other people grow. This is not the kind of thing where you have 20 people in your inner circle that you share your deepest, darkest struggles with.